Now. Welcome to Beers with Bill Christmas edition. Like I said, I have my music box, welcome to Christmas 2020. Beers with Bill welcomes Graeme Kobayashi, Counterpoint back. And Graeme, I don't even know which beer we were planning on starting with.
I think, in my opinion, the mild would be probably the best one to start with.
Okay, do you want to talk a little bit about that before we?
Sure. For us, I mean, it's. What the fuck? There's some really loud noise going on.
Why is it so high up?
Yeah, Terry, you want to move your mic there? I think we can hear your blender going.
Oh.
Either that or he's drilling holes in the donuts.
Cool. I'll try again. Yeah, the mild is, yeah, I mean, you know, not too counterpointy, you would say. For us, definitely a first. You know, in general, low ABV stuff is not usually what we put out, but it was the right time. We were looking for something like a seasonal version of a sessionable IPA, I guess, or session pale. So it being just a little, you know, a little darker, lighter in ABV, and we tried to keep a reasonable body to it, and as well as some traditional flavors of English mild or dark mild. It was not, I suppose, it turned out to be not as fruity, I would say, as some milds, a little more earthy and herbal. But yeah, easy to drink. Still has some character.
What a British mild's supposed to be.
I suppose just like any beer out of any brewery, it can be a little different. But I would say the only thing I think it's maybe lacking a bit is just a little more of the fruitiness, fruit character esters.
So being as Christmas, I have a couple Christmas questions for you. The first one, what is your most favorite Christmas memory?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think decorating the tree with my family. It's just one of those things where we would sit around and you go through, like, I don't know, too many ornaments, and overload the tree with our favorite ones. You know, I have two younger brothers, and my parents. So it was a full tree. And we just each take turns and drink eggnog. I think my parents had extra stuff in their eggnog, and to get them through the night with three boys. But yeah, I think that's definitely it. We would sit back and we used to always use colorful lights, so colored lights, so like the shadows on the walls. Really, I remember that quite well. And now we've got just classic white lights here.
Yeah, that's great. Good to share that. We used to sit down as a family and watch all of our movies. We had stills, so we would have a slideshow of all the previous Christmases.
Cool.
Yeah.
On an old slide.
Yeah.
Carousel. Yeah.
Yeah, the old carousel. Just click, click.
That's cool.
Click, click.
Yeah.
You'll trip down memory lane.
Yeah, right on.
What's your favorite food for Christmas time?
I would say the Yule log for sure, and a good like roast beef dinner with Yorkies and a lot of gravy and potatoes. Yeah, not really traditional, like, you know, turkey, but, you know, get that big meat main.
Roast beef and gravy.
Yeah, I mean,
love it.
What, can't go wrong.
No, that's true. You can't. My daughter's just discovered doing prime rib roast.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
delicious. Yeah, it's neat to play around with different. I mean, I'm not very um, savvy in when it comes to like meat cuts and that sort of thing. So every time I go to the butcher, I either talk to them or try and look it up ahead of time, so I don't sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, give me that cut over there. But it's nice to try different types of meat and see how they turn out.
That's true. That's true. I had a friend who his birthday was actually Christmas Day, and we would have celebrated his birthday always on the Friday before, whatever Friday was before Christmas. And every time we had a celebration, it was a different main. We went from doing roast beef to traditional turkey, then we did fish once, then we did steak and lobster. But the best one was the turducken, the turkey with the duck and the ham inside of it. That was an unusual meal to say the least.
Yeah, I've tried that once and I felt the same way.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, this year I've got my buddy hunts actually, and I'm not a big hunter. He was I traded him some beer for a duck. So since it's just a small dinner at home this year, we're
yeah,
gonna have a little duck and try that out.
that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Could do the East Coast thing. Okay. We just do the traditional clam chowder. We can get Troy to
Yeah.
make it for us sometime.
Oh yeah.
So, what's your favorite drink at Christmas time?
I usually resort to Scotch and what the kind style just depends on a lot of things, like what I've had for dinner or what I'm having for dinner or snacking on, that kind of thing. But I would say usually like a good Speyside in this case.
Do you have a particular favorite Speyside that you enjoy?
No, actually, right now I'm really enjoying. It's a Highland malt, but it's Bal Blair,
Okay.
05. So it's like an 18-year-old, one of their no age statement blends, but it contains up to 18-year-old malt, and it's just really nice and light, quite fruity, and really goes well with everything. I've paired it with some cheeses, nuts and fruits, that kind of thing, and it's really really nice.
That's good. What's your favorite Christmas movie? Because they were talking about that earlier.
Movies, yeah. I think Home Alone. Nope. Even though Macaulay Culkin, but when he was that age, I mean, he was really funny. He was really good. I like that.
That's true. He
Yeah,
was.
definitely, and that's like goes along with, I think, Christmas memory kind of thing too. Is
Yeah.
yeah, decorating the tree and Home Alone or other good Christmas movies. I also like. I can't remember what movie it is with the snowman guy, but Bumble. I don't know, like the animated one with Rudolph, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, that one was always fun.
Yeah. I never thought about that. I should have got my Rudolph train out and had it going around me while I was sitting here.
Yeah, the claymation one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Frosty the Snowman. Yeah, it's the guy we all like to see the end of. Bye, Frosty. What's been the biggest change for you since the last time you were on Beers with Bill?
I was trying to think about when it was. It was summertime because I was outside. I think Graham was chirping about the birds chirping.
Yeah.
And so I guess the biggest change is just seeing everything kind of reverse back to, wave one gradually. And I feel like it's one of those things where you see it happen in slow motion. And you just want to or it's like a bad dream where you just want to try and stop this from happening again. And yet anything you do or, wish, it's just not going to work. So, it's just interesting breaking out the old signage back and, posting more stuff on the door and in emails and social media. So, which, I mean, I guess figured that there would be a, second wave was obviously inevitable, but for it to be so intense, I think is the biggest change. And then, just resorting back to everything being in bottles. And when there was I think a glimmer of hope. So for the brewery, I mean, generally, brewing is sort of business as usual, just back to packaging everything. And unfortunately, closing our tap room was one of the most fun times of the year, I think, to own a brewery with a tap room. I know last year this time, we were so busy, and it was just everybody was in a cheery mood, and people are hanging out with their friends and family. So I think when we had some taste of that in the summer, then we've resorted back to nil.
I hear you. I was a little bummed out last week about not being able to see my grandkids for Christmas this year.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of past that now, but it was a little, I would love to spend time with them. And because this is the year they're celebrating Christmas with us, because they go to Quebec City every other year. So I hate this thing.
Yeah, and it hits everybody in some way, and definitely on for me on a personal side as well. My parents live down the street, but we're I think we'll go for a walk with them, but we're not doing anything special. And I've got my two kids to keep me too busy, so I'm sure they'll keep me preoccupied. But it's definitely tough.
So what's the second beer you want to taste tonight?
The second one we are going to go with, hold on one sec here. Let's go with the Fermata. So this was a double IPA, Brew One, Mosaic, Amarillo. So we played around quite a bit with obviously we've used a lot of Mosaic, but I mean it's such a great hop that you can't go wrong with it, in my opinion. And Amarillo's fun. It blends in well. We find we like to play around with that, different hop combos, and does a great job. Plays well with others is a term we'd like to use with a few of our hops. And then Brew One is a really neat one as well. We've dabbled with we did a small trial with a single hop Brew One, and it's not a real big showcase hop, but it's very pleasant. So I find that as a double IPA, it doesn't give me any heat or booziness really. In this one, but just depending on the type of hops, it's not as crazy juicy or hoppy as some of our other double IPAs. What are you waiting for, Ed? Oh.
I'm going for a 7.7 tonight. Wasn't going to work for me, so I went for the Aotearoa. I'm looking forward to what you have to say about that one.
Yeah, for sure. Responsible consumption at a Christmas party.
Well, I was just going to say, Ed, next time him and I have a Zoom call together, we can enjoy that one, because I've got it to the side. So So do you like making double IPAs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, IPAs in general, definitely love. Double IPAs also enjoy. Triples, I mean, obviously, we don't do them as often. It's one of those things where they're they're big and they're exciting, but I think, and I've found from talking to our customers as well that during COVID, it seems like there's more frequent or yes, more frequent consumption, and so the big high ABVs are sitting around or being cellared or
Yeah.
forgotten in the back of the fridge, and low ABVs are being enjoyed more. So we haven't made one in a while, and that's not why. But triples are, they're fun. A little more challenging in a way as well because they can be pretty nasty if they don't turn out.
Yeah, that's true. You've increased the complexity. You've also increased the risk of it not working the way you want it to work.
Yeah, and I mean, I just find the biggest risk is just like maybe it seems like you're sipping on a vodka or something like that, right? Or just it is pure booze. It can be a bit much.
So what's been the most positive change for you through COVID?
I think that the biggest thing, on a positive side, is that we met we've had new customers and met new people through this, and I don't know if it's well, I think we've touched on it before, but the big drive to support local, and so people are discovering a little more about their communities or their neighborhoods and the businesses. I mean, we have a few customers that will pick up, a 6-pack or 12 bottles, and they'll be dropping them off at their friends' houses, and, because they're not going out at all. Or so I think in that way, like it's been really neat to see the support for us and new customers, but also that support from people towards their friends or even neighbors or strangers. It's kind of brought the best out in a lot of people. I haven't really seen that, I mean, we've all heard stories about, initially, I guess more so, but, people coughing in people's faces or starting fights over masks or stuff like that. But I haven't seen or heard any of that. And I mean, I know it goes, obviously, look at our customers, they're great people anyways, but I think just in general in our community, we've seen a lot of people pull together, and it's reassuring, and it's it's really, really, I guess, calming in a way.
Do you find small businesses working together better?
I did notice, actually, there'd be another positive for sure, is that I did notice a lot of, or a handful, I should say, because we don't deal with too many licensees, but a handful of restaurants and bars that we had never dealt with before reach out to us. So that was really cool. And because things were, have been a little bit quieter or less, I guess, in selling, there were certain periods where we sold less beer that we were able to put less beer into kegs for these bars or restaurants. So that was really reassuring as well to hear, see that they had our backs and wanted to focus on our region.
It's good, because I find that in Woodstock, a lot of the small businesses are really working together, from the microbrew to the coffee shop to the guy that's making cheese. They're all promoting each other right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, see it all over social media, which is great. Just, even if it's just throwing out a new name, and there's, we've got about 4,000 followers, and hopefully a few of them have never heard of, let's say, Swine and Vine or something like that. And so, if a few new people see that and they go and buy a bottle of wine or a meal from them, then that's super. We can support each other. Yeah, and I mean, we tried to do some more getting back into that sort of swing of things where we had a pop up every couple of weeks when it was, reasonable and safe to do so. And those, little businesses like pop-ups are amazing. And I've been loving the food that, we've had at the brewery, thanks to people like Niam and Clementine. So they, and it brings a whole new level of enjoyment in the tap room. So I definitely miss that, but that was another thing. Obviously, we tried to do when we were allowed to support each other.
Yeah. So tell me, what's new and exciting at Counterpoint right now?
The end of 2020, but it's new and exciting for everybody.
We're all looking forward to that. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We're releasing. I'm just adding this. It might be a huge file. I hope not. Just a PDF, but adding this to the chat there, so everybody can pull it up if they like. This is the label for Aotearoa. So the beer that we'll try last, I think. Actually, probably next. We'll do this one next. And this is our second beer in their diversity and inclusion in beer series. So we started it to reach out to other business owners, members in the community. Generally, sort of started off as chef/artist combo, but I'm more flexible, and we'll just see what happens. In this case, we worked with Lenore Johnson of Lenjo Bakes, who is super cool and a lot of fun, and just opened her bakery earlier in 2020, the best year possible to try and open a business. So we were chatting with her, and I mean, she was up for, doesn't like beer. She says doesn't like beer, but she was up for, she tried a couple of ours. We're like, oh, they're interesting. We'll try. And yeah, she wanted to make something. So we sat down and just chatted for a while. And she was talking about, these amazing pastries or, baked goods and treats and stuff like that. And so it was really, really cool. And she decided she was really keen on doing this passion fruit chocolate ginger beer. And the beer that she liked most out of sort of what we had at the time was a sour beer. So, so that was what we wanted to go with, because we wanted her to at least hopefully like the beer that she made with us. So, yeah, so we went with sour, and it was, we used a lot of chocolate, like a lot of cocoa powder in this beer, which we had never used before. But it really is kind of, chocolate with fruit was not necessarily, and passion fruit was not necessarily something that was on our radar or our plans to brew with. So it was cool that she, brought that up, was really keen on it. And so pushed us a bit to do this. So the photographer, or sorry, the photo there, Lenore's the photographer of that. And so Lenore's got a really cool story with regards to her. I mean, she went to George Brown. She's formally trained, but a huge part of her experience, I think, like any of us, is sort of like the life experience really makes us who we are. And, so she went off and traveled to 20 different countries in Europe and explored food and culture. And then she had one of her best friends owned or worked at a resort in New Zealand. So she went over there to vacation, work / hang out. And that's where she started Lenjo Bakes. So as a pop-up there. And yeah, so now she's here, and we're lucky to have her, because I think somebody wrote here, yes, best baker in the land. And she is fantastic. Made some really cool stuff. And so yeah, it was a really fun beer to make. It was challenging to plan and design. Rich handled most of that side of things, or all of it in this case, in this recipe. And but it turned out great. Happy with it. So I'd give it a crack. I'm gonna pour it right now. Funny story about this one. We ordered labels a while back when we were using a different style of bottler. I think the style of bottle that you guys have, but between then and when we just bottled it today, the rest of it, and the labels don't fit our new bottles. So I had to call I called 3 breweries. Block 3 had some bottles with a proper surface on it to label. So tomorrow morning we have to rebottle, well, bottle a whole new batch and then buy new labels for the small bottles, unfortunately. Yeah, otherwise, I think there's anything really new happening Counterpoint. I think, like everybody, just trying to get through this, keep things fresh enough to stay relevant and exciting, make beer, and get through this lockdown.
Like it's the best laid plans of men and mice. Every so often things do go astray.
For sure.
Great that the craft brewing community works together so closely, though, that you can, call Graeme and go, hey.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I called him tonight at like 6 on the way home, and I was like, when can I get, or do you have any bottles? Because I know they went to canning, but they still do some bottling, and they have, I need 12 cases. He's like, yeah, we'll have them for you tomorrow morning. So, perfect. So it was lucky.
So a couple questions on here.
Mm-hmm.
The important one, what are your hours between Christmas and New Year's?
Yeah, good question. So this week and next week, we're running the same hours, just 2 days. Wednesday, so it'll be the 23rd, so tomorrow, and the 30th are 2 to 6. And we're also doing the local delivery those days. And then on Thursday, 11 to 3, so a little earlier, for selfish reasons, so I can get home to my family. But otherwise, yeah, and it's still we want to be open those days, make sure people get in if they can. And we'll still be doing the afternoon delivery. So if you can't make it in, we'll get it out to you.
Yeah. Okay. Someone wanted to know if you get the return refill bottles through the beer store, or do you only fill new bottles?
So we only do, we are buying new bottles. Yeah. I have been meaning to look into try and get a grasp of the full system and what happens with these bottles. We were at one point buying what they call one-way bottles, but that was a one-time purchase, and they were a bit cheaper. But we also just realized that then they were just getting crushed or disposed of, or I guess recycled, but not as great as reusing it. So we've gone to a bit of the heavier bottle that we actually originally started with. So at least we can be part of that system of reusing and less waste. But that being said, all of our bottles are purchased new. Okay. From my understanding, and somebody can, if anybody wants to pipe in, there are many people here who might know a bit more about it than I do, but I think because the beer store collects them, that the large corporations that own them essentially get the bottles, but I'm not sure what they do with them.
It used to be 2 streams. So the beer bottles that are their style, they get them and recycle them. And then the other ones, because I remember Troy and I, we had to keep them separate when we were putting them in the boxes to ship back. So, because they all the ones that were clear and green and different shape had to be in a different box than the regular beer bottle. So.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So Naomi was curious. You and I have talked about this when we were doing the collab. Why it is everyone has been shifting to a canning line, whereas you have stuck strictly to bottles.
Good question. Overall, canning in theory is a bit cheaper. The cans themselves, even with a sleeve or label on them, essentially a bit cheaper. So, or were at some point. And then also for logistical reasons, you can stack them, you can ship them. They're not going to break. I mean, some of them, I guess, will dent, but there's bottles that break, so that kind of evens things out there. So I think that it is, and should be essentially fresher for a little longer. So there are many pros to that. For us, it's a matter of sort of cost. That yes, bottles are a little bit more expensive, and it's more labor intensive. And lucky for Counterpoint, labor is free. So Rich and I get to spend hours and hours filling bottles together, and it doesn't. We're looking at sort of a scaled back system. Block 3 and I think Barn Cat both just got canning lines, so those come with a pretty hefty price tag, and we're not quite ready. That wouldn't be a priority for us when we can get our beer out like this, and it's still reasonable. But there are other ways to do it where we just maybe get like a seamer and a filler separately, and still some labor, but we could run it with one person, that kind of thing. Yeah, but we've also been notified, but and I'm sure every brewery has, that there's a can shortage, and especially with all these tariffs being thrown around, there was that in the mix. And then one of the can manufacturers was purchased by a large brewery organization. I can't remember which one, but so then now they control a good portion of the cans that we'll never see.
I believe InBev just bought one of the largest
Mm-hmm.
manufacturers.
Correct. That would be the one.
Yeah. So I can see that they're controlling their supply chain and limiting yours.
Oh yeah, makes sense for them.
Well, we're not going to run out of cans. You might, but we won't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one interesting thing, that initially we didn't really have any trouble with supply chains for any of our stuff. There was a bit of a delay on some things, but it was more of the fact that we couldn't have they couldn't have as many people on the floor working together and that sort of thing. But it's sort of finally seems to be catching up with all the packaging going on. There's cardboard shortage, can shortage, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and everyone who has a supply chain is experiencing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unique to just one industry. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Where my son works, the only reason that they've been able to continue functioning is they had 9 months worth of supply in storage, because their supply chain out of Asia has dramatically changed.
So they already had that stored up.
They were gearing up for expanding production.
Mm-hmm.
They have all the equipment sitting there, but unfortunately the techs have to come over from Germany, and they haven't been allowed to come over yet.
Yeah.
So they were gearing up for expansion, and that's the only thing that's saved them, or they'd be shut down again. So,
yeah.
Troy had a question, which is, do you have any idea what the beer trend for this spring is going to be? Is it going to be a session IPA, a wheat style, more sours?
Where's my magic snow globe?
Yeah.
I will.
Just a minute. I'll play some music for you.
I really think the trend in playing around with, lagers, pilsners will continue. I think that is a no-brainer, where even though it's craft beer industry and there are a lot of people with adventurous taste buds, I think that the fact that there is a beer that you don't really have to think about too much or overanalyze is going to play a big role. And it doesn't mean that everybody's going to forget about hops and sours and that sort of thing. And I also think more of a trend towards balance. We've seen that a little bit as well, but where the sours aren't as sour, the IPAs aren't. I mean, we've seen that where the IPAs aren't as bitter anymore, but even to the point where maybe they're not as hoppy, but more balanced beers, I think. I don't know about a certain style in particular, besides or anything new. I mean, who knows? We'll see what somebody comes up with and have some fun with.
It's always interesting what happens in the beer industry.
Yeah, of course. There have been some great new trends and some scary new trends.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And on that note, what do you see that's new or interesting in the craft beer industry as a whole?
I think the role that breweries are playing as a community spokesperson, I think, whether it's I've seen Dominion City in particular during the most recent Canadian election, host act as, I guess, a space for candidates in their area to chat. And it was very simple. It was very structured, where they had a couple minutes to speak, and it was not a space for debate, but basically where their customers and the public could be informed. In this year with the killing of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter movement, the Black is Beautiful beer was the worldwide collab, but even you see this messaging through social media and email platforms, acting on behalf and speaking out against this, racism and supporting their communities and supporting them, even the marginalized people in the community. So that, I think, is probably it doesn't really surprise me, but it's a big move, and I think some would see it as perhaps risky from a point of a business, but I think that it plays a big role in the community and really just the good for everybody.
Do you see that sort of social justice community role continuing?
No, absolutely, yeah. I think there are a few main topics that will take the spotlight for the next little while, like climate change and racism and just general social justice. I think will be a big topic, and I think that the breweries will continue to speak out.
Do you see that as a trend all through North America, or just a Canadian trend?
I don't know enough about what's going on, but like businesses in certain areas. I mean, there's, within Canada, you see a big shift from, generally, I would say a big shift from the east to west, and what the mentality is there. In the States, obviously, it's, hot and cold, depending on, I feel like, which, I don't know, which neighborhood or which block you're in, or neighborhood or city or town or county. There's a lot going on. It's so complex.
No easy answer, in other words.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah. So you guys are coming up on a second anniversary.
Yes, so glad you remembered.
I listen. This is a milestone, coming through all the things that we've come through in the last 9-10 months.
Yeah.
I wondered if you could give us if there's any sort of sneak preview on your thoughts of what you and Rich are going to be doing for your second anniversary.
I have no idea. And it's something we will probably be talking about this week. Last year was, somewhat easier to plan. I mean, we had no idea, but we were like, all right, it's December. we're throwing a party in January or February. Let's start talking about beer that we want to brew and what we want to plan. I mean, in the big picture, it didn't take too much. We had some great music and great eats, and we had a few. I think we just a couple special beers, but just on tap, and the response was amazing, and the night was phenomenal, and yeah. So, this year I don't know. I feel like what we can focus on is trying to brew a couple special beers, and it's not really, to be honest, it's not really a focus. We can't plan anything. So besides making beer and bottling it and trying to get it out the door, curbside or delivery.
Is there anything all of us here at Beers with Bill can do to help you celebrate?
I don't know. I mean, you could talk about Counterpoint, I guess, to your friends and let them know. And when we do brew a beer and release it, buy a bottle, enjoy it. Yeah, that's about it. That's all we can do.
Ed's curious, how many people on normal circumstances can you have in your tap room?
Is there anybody from the AGCO here? Or the city? I mean, we've had nobody tell us initially from the start. We had nobody tell us how many people we could have in our brewery. There's nothing on paper. The fire inspector said have about 30 people up front here, right? But we're licensed everywhere. So,
Graeme, have you been 200% over capacity?
Never, no way. Come on. So I had a chat with the AGCO and to get an SOP, a special occasion permit for an event. And I do know that there are occasions when you can have more, raised capacity for events, that type of thing. And so just kind of wanted to poke a bit and see, hey, so I'm wondering how I can raise this capacity. And they said, well, what's your capacity now? And I said, we don't have anything on file. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. Let me look at that. So it's like, we don't want to raise a red flag or anything, but he put me on hold for a bit and came back to me and said, oh, there's nothing on file. So I'm gonna have to ask somebody. And I was like, oh shit, what have I done? And then he came back 2 minutes later and said, well, just take your square footage and divide it by 12 and that's it. So apparently we can have 130 people in our house. And so that was just before our anniversary too. So we were feeling pretty good about that, because when we opened, we were very new, very careful, thought, with a grand opening party, we probably raised some flags. So we kept it at 30. We had somebody counting, we had a lineup in the freezing cold February. It was terrible. And but we stuck to it, and so it felt a lot better to have 70 people inside during our first anniversary, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, when we get back to that kind of thing, well, it doesn't matter if it's won't be February, but we'll throw an anniversary party sometime in post-vaccine state.
And just for everybody's information, Troy was wrong. We were at 289% of capacity when I got busted.
Oh, you got busted too.
Engineering pub crawl. 5 minutes before they were about to leave, the liquor inspector from London showed up.
Ooh. They came to make a mark.
Yeah. Troy had to tell, it was specified in the letter from the AGCO that he had to show me what 39 people actually looked like in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They were a little upset with the 100 and...
Just 39 cardboard cutouts of Troy?
No. There was like 115 people in there. It was a little packed.
Yeah.
I thought it was
good.
118. I was there that night, sitting in the corner when when the inspector came in and Tomas said, "Oh, this doesn't look good."
Oh. No, it was interesting. So we've talked about 3 beers. Do you want to talk about the 4th beer?
I think you should talk about the 4th beer.
No, I think you're
It's
much
all
better.
you. I'm putting myself on mute for a sec.
Graeme was very, very generous in agreeing to do a collab with me. And also very generous about how much work he said I did. I did do work, but he did most of the planning. And unfortunately, I didn't book enough time to be there for the whole production. So
That's not your fault at all. Can you hear me? Okay. I got a notification or something. I was muted, but not your fault at all for us. I think like everybody knows we're super small, so brewing one batch of beer takes twice as long. I mean, I won't put it on you that you didn't book 10 hours off just to
I will
brew with
next
us, but
time.
you
though.
did, you
Now
did,
that
you
I
did a
know,
lot of
I
work,
will.
Bill. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I mean, let's.
we had a lot of fun that day, I think.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see that process through with you, and we do another one, a bit more of a plan for, let's say, like, fruit edition and that type of thing as well, so you can play part in that.
Yeah.
Maybe add a bit less fruit to suit your taste buds.
No, I'm actually I've been sharing my bottles with a number of different people who have all enjoyed it. So
Yeah. No, good. Yeah, it's fun. It's a really fun beer. It's stouts with fruit are not they're there, but they're not too common, I think, and it was really neat to see how raspberry really shined through.
yeah, it certainly did.
So,
and no, Derek, I didn't leave him to shovel the spent grain.
Bill did it. I think I've got at least a picture, if not a video.
Yeah, between Christmas and New Year's, I'm actually going to post on the website some of the pictures from the collab that Mandy took. She did a really great job of coming in
Yeah.
and taking pictures of us. So
Yeah, thanks to Mandy for that. Those pictures are great. Oh, there you are. Did David save you any beer this time? Because I heard he consumed it all last time.
She did get to try some, I swear. Yes.
Just
I did drink a lot of them though, but that's more on me. Okay, just leave it.
he drank most of them.
Mute. You know what I would love to do as well, Bill, is we'll call it post-COVID, but like, I don't know, the whole kickoff gang can come hang out, brew,
that'd
that
be
kind
fun.
of thing. Yeah, except for you, David.
Yeah,
Mandy can come. But yeah, for sure. I think that'd be really cool.
Graeme, you're picking a lot of
I don't know how we'll
Bill's,
decide it.
bad habits. I don't like them a lot. All right.
We'll have to figure out how to choose a style of beer. I don't know if we can do a poll or something, but we can have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we can make a party out of it. And Derek can see that I actually do work. I saved the last shovelful of spent grain just for you, Derek.
Well, the photo could have been the first one, and then you ran out the door. We have no way to know that.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my questions, Graeme, that I had here for you that we never talked about. I have covered off everything that I wanted to ask you tonight, except the last two, which would be, if you could go back in time, what would you advise your younger self now?
I think think to have fun. When I was younger, I was so focused on, I think like trying to be something, trying to be somebody, and with just my upbringing and my dad was a military doctor, so under a bit of pressure, and I focused a lot on trying to. I don't know, just trying to be something, and I think that I would go back and just tell myself to have fun, and you'll get somewhere. Do something about like this. I never would have dreamed of myself, being in the brewery industry, and here I am, and it's a blast.
Yep. And if you could have us walk away with any one thought after this evening's chat, what would it be?
Oh man, just that you've all and everybody as a part of Counterpoint has played a huge role in our success and happiness, and yeah, just like you guys are great. That's all I can say. Like it's it's a hard time to think about positive things, I think, and even just seeing you all here, I'm lucky that as a part of my job I get to be a bit social and see people come in and pick up beer and still have a quick chat or whatever. But yeah, you've played a huge part in my sanity and happiness levels, and obviously the success of Counterpoint. So you're all good people. That's the last point I have to make. Except for who's Emma shaking her head. We're okay. That's all right. You're all okay. Yeah. Come see, come sa.
Yeah. Graeme, first of all, I want to say I had such a fantastic time doing that beer with you. It reminded me so much of why I love this industry. And so I thank you again for allowing me to participate in that and being a sport and doing a collab beer with me. It was a lot of fun. And I think everyone seems to have enjoyed it. So
good.
I look
good.
forward to doing that again with you. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to speak with us again. It's always entertaining and enjoyable to hear your thoughts and insights and to talk about the beers that you make. And as Jen said there, you make great beer. What an awesome career shift for you.
Thanks. Yeah.
So on behalf of everybody here, Graeme, thank you for joining us tonight and giving us your time. And to all of you, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And to remind you that next week, Adam Wilson from Boschkung Brewing is going to be on Tuesday night. Looking forward to that. The last show of 2020. We bring in the new year with a whole slate of guests, starting off with Zach from Cowbell on the first weekend of January. Also, take a look at the fruit salad beer at Inatente, because Remy Bierman, who joins us once in a while, did the artwork. So we put that. My wife handed me a note. Princess Cinema online auction, 35 years of phenomenal posters. If you haven't signed up, you should sign up just to take a look. They're doing everything they can. So everybody, have a great Christmas. I'll see you next week. I'm going to stop recording now.